Hello, my name is Gary Schotten, and I'm proud to be a part of Inspiring Better Business, and I hope you're enjoying these lessons and teachings, and I hope you benefit from them. I hope you would give us some feedback, if you would, by notes to the bottom of the page there on our website. Well, today we're going to talk about difficulties. Well, I didn't want to talk about that. I hope I didn't have any difficulties. Well, welcome to the real world. There's going to be some difficulties in owning and operating a business. And I'm going to cover 5 reasons you go through difficulties. And it's not a subject most people really want to talk about that much, but I think it's very beneficial. And I've got to give credit where credit's due here. The 5 points that I'm giving come word for word from a book that was written by my friend, Mr. Tim Walterbach. And the title of the book is Finish the Vision, and this is chapter 4. But Tim won't mind this, and I hope he'll do a teaching on the same thing. And I will use these in regards to any place that we want to share business principles, because we think we're sharing business principles that are consistent with the Word of God, and we're consistent with any principle we share would be valid anywhere in the world, in any culture, in any language, and any time period, that since time began until time ends. We're looking for foundational truth, and we hope this is a part of it. And I will guarantee you that there's no such thing as owning a business or running a business or being gainfully employed without difficulties. And you need to look past those difficulties and see why are we having them and the benefit. Consequently, I think you can rejoice through the test or the difficulties and see the other side. Well, according to Tim Walterbach, here we go. Number 1, difficulties give us an opportunity to show the world the trusted love we have for God. Wow. You know, the rain will rain on the just and the unjust. It's not whether we get the rain or the snow or the sun or the wind. It's how we respond to that is a testimony. Gives us opportunity to show who God is. And as we face these difficulties, come through that is probably much, much more important than a sermon. Well, I go to a sermon, yeah, and hear the Word of God to build me up, but to learn and apply something when I see somebody else go through a difficulty, a tough time, and come through it, those are the people that I want to be around. Wow, do I want to be around those people. So it gives us a chance to show the world that we trust God. Number 2, it purifies our motives. You know, when we enter into business ownership, there's all kinds of motives for being in an ownership position. Maybe it's prestige, maybe it's the illusion of being wealthy, maybe it's the lack of willingness to report to work to somebody else, you know, but we need some pure motives for serving God in our businesses. And doing that is really important, because if we're not careful, we'll get off track. That's why somebody that starts in whatever they have in life, and they started down a good path, and they weren't solid in their motives of integrity and being a testimony to others, and to be truthful with your words, and things are just personal qualities of a person. Those blend over into your business. You cannot separate those things. If you're not faithful to your wife, you're not going to be faithful to others in business. I've had reason to talk with somebody at one point, and I heard by a rumor that they were maybe, I'll just say, messing around. And they were a part of a key sales force that I had, and I called them in. I said, listen, what you do on your personal time is your business. But if this is true, let me know or straighten it up, because you told me I cannot trust you. If you're going to deceive your spouse, you're going to deceive me, and it's only a matter of time. Well, to my knowledge, it got straightened up. Pure motives. How are you going to serve in your business? Number 3, It gives you a perseverance that demonstrates faith and encourages others to not trust in dead works, but in the living God. You know, I love teaching and talking about James chapter 1, verse 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it says there that the testing of your faith first produces patience, and patience then produces endurance, and endurance is what you're going to look for when you're serving God, and it ends up faith. You know, the flash in the pan, just hot again one day, cold the next day, not serving God on a regular long-term basis, you know, that's not what we're looking for. And that's not what God's looking for. And so we don't want to have dead works that's burn up. We want to serve God openly with things that last for eternity. And people are a little surprised how long I've been in different parts of my life. 9.5 years working for the big company, the big corporation. 17 plus years having a moving and storage a company where I owned and operated a trucking company. 6 years where I was between business ownerships and I had rental property. And then I'm 12.5 years into this business right now. You know, those things are perseverance demonstrates and encourages others. Well, number 4, it curbs our very strong desire for respect and acceptance. God's best does not come without deep humility. Wow. That's something that humility is a virtue that needs to be sought after. Not a fake humility, not a lip service humility. I've experienced this. When I was a high-paid corporate executive in the engineering department, you know, that was kind of a nice job. And then I came basically to move dirty, ugly, old furniture out of one house and put it in a truck and drive it to another location, and it was called the Moving and Storage Company. And wow, was that humbling. I had to swallow hard and say, God, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do, because I'm learning a lot here. I don't really like it, but I'm going to learn from this. Humility is something that's going to be a part of your willingness to succeed and the ability to succeed in business. And then number 5, certainly not last but least, causes us to grow in faith. We've already covered that a little bit, but you know, there's no such thing as a testimony without a test. And so David had the test of killing Goliath. Well, first came some of his sheep. He was tending his dad's sheep, and he had to pass the test of retrieving and protecting those little sheep from a bear and then from a lion. That qualified him for the level of faith. He's listed as a man of faith because he went through those steps to learn faith, and you're going to grow in faith every single time. Don't shy away from the test. Don't shy away from the difficulties. I mean, don't go looking for them, but we're supposed to rejoice in the midst of the difficulties, because the difficulties do produce something in our life, and that's ultimately faith. Well, I could tell you a little bit about my personal walk. You might have heard it over and over again, depending on how long you've listened, but you know, I can say that I've gone through many of these steps. I've cried in the middle of my quiet time, just crying out for God because things were not going well. I had difficult times. I had payroll that I could barely squeak out enough money to pay all my workers, and I couldn't pay myself. I wrote myself a check, but I put it in the drawer and couldn't cash it for weeks later. I've had trucks break down when it was the worst time it possibly could. I've had difficulties at every step of my business career, but you know, with God's help, I was able to see through those and to come out on the other side some degree of successful, and that's what I want to see you do. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to be a walk in the park. I'm just telling you that what you want is to be able to deal with difficulties and come through them with a degree of success that you can hold your head high and be honored and honorable. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of Inspiring Better Business.